Hey guys, this is Amy Love from Real Food Whole Health. Today we're going to be making bone broth or stock. It's really easy. First you need a big pot like this. I just use a big stock pot. And of course you need your chicken bones. You can also use beef bones or fish bones, but we're going to be talking about chicken. And I just collect this and keep it in the freezer, and I keep a handy dandy chicken foot here. That's going to add a lot of nutrition to our stock. Here is some vegetable peelings, and I keep these in the freezer. And you can see onions and leeks, and it's just pieces and it's still frozen. You don't even have to thaw it. You're just going to add it all in together, and it will cook. So and then of course I use apple cider vinegar. This is raw, unpasteurized. This is salt and pepper, freshly ground black pepper and unrefined sea salt, and that's going to flavor our broth. And then we have water, and these are half-gallon jars. Each one is going to hold 8 cups, a half a gallon. So, and that's filtered water that you want to have in there. So now we're just going to add it in. Here goes my foot, and now all of the bones. Again, these are all frozen, and I've just collected them over the past couple of weeks. And I'm going to add in the vegetables. And remember, these are frozen, and it's carrots and onions, leeks, mushroom stems, carrot peelings, anything like that that you have from processing vegetables. Now I'm going to add in a little bit of this apple cider vinegar. This is optional, but it does help leach additional minerals from the bones, which makes a more nourishing stock. And in goes the salt and pepper. You can use just to taste how much you want. I usually put in a little bit extra salt, and then I just don't salt it on the other end as much. So now we're going to pour in the water. Again, I am using 3 8-cup containers, so that's 24 cups of water. And that's just what my stock pot holds, and that's what I make. You can make less and use less bones, or it's really just kind of up to you how potent you want to make it. It's a little bit of an art, not a science. So I tend to use about the bones from 2 different chickens in my stock that I make. I make this about once a week, every 10 days. It just depends on how quickly we go through it. And it will reduce down a little bit. You won't end up with a full 24 cups. So I'm going to give this a little stir. Just make sure that everything's mixed up in there. You can see all the little mushroom caps and things floating around in there. All my little peelings. It's a really great way to use up those things that you would normally throw away. And that way you don't have to use fresh, vegetables that you spent money on for broth, because obviously you're not going to eat those. So what I'm going to do is go ahead and put the lid on this and transfer it to the stove and get it going and bring it up almost to a boil, and get it down to a simmer. You can skim off any foam that arises. Sometimes you'll have more foam than others, but just skim that off, and then we'll let it cook. So here you can see this is about the right amount of simmering. Those bubbles are getting to the surface every few seconds, so it could be even a little bit lower, but it's fine. So we'll see you in the morning. Alright guys, it's the morning. It's about 8:30 or so, and this has been cooking all night on low. I let that happen because I have an electric stove, and that's something that you can do if you're comfortable with, or use a crock pot. So you can see it's really nice and rich and golden. It's got a nice little sheen of fat on the top, and so now we're going to filter it out. So what I like to do here is just put a wire mesh sieve over an 8-cup Pyrex measuring cup, and I just get it out. You can see obviously this is catching all the bones and leavings that are there in the stock, and I usually don't fill it all the way up because I want to be able to pour it into mason jars. But this is a really nice, beautiful stock. You can see it's nice and clear, and sometimes they can be a little bit cloudy. Don't worry about that. It doesn't affect the taste or the nutrition at all. It'd be just fine. So Anyway, that's what we do, and I'm going to finish getting this out and putting it in jars, and you can see what that looks like. So here we have it in the jars, and obviously these jars are going to go in the fridge because they're high. If I was going to go in the freezer, I'd go about right there. So you want to go below the shoulders of the jar to put it in the freezer because it will expand and you don't want to lose your jar. So I'm just going to put this lid on. It's a reusable BPA-free plastic lid, and put these in the fridge, and I'm good to go for another week to 10 days.